This time on Camp Outside, we take a look at the TIDRadio GM-5R GMRS radio. Check it out. Hey guys, I'm Kevin with Camp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. Today we're continuing our series on good communications for outdoor use when cell phone signal is not available. And so I have been talking about all the different kinds of radio communication options, from FRS radios to GMRS to MRS to ham radio. We're covering a whole lot of different options that you have if you are outside and need to communicate with your group or communicate in an emergency when you don't have cell phone service. So today we're going to look at a GMRS radio, which is the General Mobile Radio Service. We're going to look at the TIDRadio GM-5R. Now, this is a Baofeng UV-5R clone that's set up for GMRS channels and is locked to GMRS channels. But there are also some other channels that you can program in here if you want to program in some repeaters, some GMRS repeaters, or you want to program in some frequencies to listen to. You can do that on this radio, but it is locked to the GMRS frequencies, which means you cannot transmit on any channel that isn't a GMRS channel. That's really good if you only have a GMRS license. And guys, you do need a license to operate this radio, right? So if you saw my video on FRS, and I'm going to put a link to that right here where you can check out a Baofeng FRS radio review and a discussion of FRS, you do not need a license to operate on FRS, but you do need a license to operate on GMRS. The good news is the license lasts 10 years, it only costs $35, and it covers your whole family, and there's no exam. So you don't have to demonstrate a working knowledge of radios. You just have to pay the FCC the fee and you'll get your license. But you do need a license to operate on GMRS. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I really like this radio, and I've had this radio a while. I'm not gonna do an unboxing because I've had this radio a while, and so I'm just gonna put a picture on the screen here of what came in the kit that I got. So I bought a 2-pack of these TIDRadio GM-5Rs. It comes with 2 radios, it comes with 2 antennas, it comes with 2 of the extended 3800 milliamp hour batteries, it comes with 2 speaker mics, it comes with 2 of the Secret Agent Man earpiece headphone microphone combos, and a programming cable. It also comes with 2 charging docks, 1 for each radio. Now you can also buy this kit as a single radio, but the 1-pack does not include the speaker mic. Obviously each radio will get its own belt clip and its own lanyard. So those are the options. You can get a 2-pack or a 1-pack of this radio. Now, like I said, I got the 2-pack. I only have 1 left, and it was entirely my fault. So I did have a 2-pack of these radios, and we were camping up at Bearhead Lake State Park in Ely, Minnesota. If you want to check out that video, by the way, guys, I'll put a link right up there. It was a fantastic trip. So Barb and her mom were on a hike, and it started to pour down rain. And Barb had one of these radios and wasn't able to protect it. And I mean, guys, it was a downpour. The radio got soaked. The radio still works, but the speaker got all messed up and it sounds all garbled. And quite honestly, for the price of the radio, I just decided to retire it and replace it with something else. I always like to have new radios to test, guys, so don't take that as a knock against this radio. These are not designed to be waterproof, and while these have gotten wet for me plenty of times, I mean, it was really raining. So I only have 1 left, but I still have all the accessories for the other radio, which is pretty nice. So let's go over the features of the radio. So I'm just gonna go over the single one here in my hand. One of the things that I really do not like, this is a downside, is that The whole idea behind GMRS radios being better than FRS radios is they have some features that FRS radios don't have. And one of those is the ability to upgrade the antenna. The antenna on a radio, especially a handheld radio, is going to be your biggest limiting factor in how far you can transmit and receive signals. So on a GMRS radio, it is legal to detach the antenna and put on a better antenna, whether that's a better antenna that goes right on the walkie or an antenna feed line, a coax cable to an antenna somewhere else, like a mag mount antenna on the roof of your car, or to a base station antenna at your house, or whatever else you might want to use. And so this antenna is removable, but it isn't removable unless you loosen a set screw that screws the antenna on. So I've already loosened the set screw, but I'm going to hold the antenna up so you can see where that set screw goes in. So let me see if I can get that focused. Come on, focus. Let me see here. Okay, there we go. So you can see that. Now I need to refocus on myself. Boom, okay. So you need a tiny little Allen wrench or Allen key to unscrew that so that you can screw it off the radio. And so unlike every other Baofeng that I have encountered, it is an SMA female connector on the radio, which means if you're going to buy a aftermarket antenna, it needs to be an SMA male connector. Let's see if I can get that zoomed in here. So it needs to look like that. I really wish that they had kept the standard Baofeng SMA male connector on the radio so that all of my SMA female antennas that I already have for all of my other radios would fit on this, but of course not. So I had to go to a whole different type of antenna connector. Luckily, I have other radios with this type of connector, so it wasn't really a big deal. But for me, I was a little disappointed that they did that. There's no reason to put a set screw on a GMRS radio. By rule, it's allowed to have detachable antennas. So I'm a little disappointed in that. Other than that, guys, it's your standard Baofeng UV-5R type radio. So if you're familiar with the Baofeng UV-5R at all from ham radio circles, or if you're using one as a GMRS radio, as a lot of people do, they're very, very popular in the off-roading community, the overlanding community. Pretty much, you know, everybody likes UV-5Rs. And by the way, guys, I have a pair of UV-5Rs I'm going to be doing a review on that I just picked up, some brand new UV-5Rs. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in UV-5Rs for ham radio. Other than that, it is basically your standard GMRS radios. So I'm going to screw the antenna back on top. I'm going to turn it on.
Channel mode.
So on the screen here, you can see, hopefully, let's see, there we go. You can see that it has a dual watch function, right? So dual watch basically means that it can monitor two channels at the same time. Now, when a signal is received on one of the channels, it will automatically mute the other channel and not listen to it. So it's not true dual receive, but it is dual watch. So the top line can receive one channel and the bottom line can receive the other channel. So the first 22 channels are your GMRS channels 1 through 22. Right? And then there are repeater channels on GMRS. So a repeater, if you're not familiar with this, and guys, these videos that I'm doing are really for the radio beginner, right? I want moms and dads who are trying to get their kids outside to understand that they have some options besides the really, really cheap walkie-talkies you can pick up at Walmart. Right, that these will transmit a little bit farther, they'll cover a little bit more ground, they'll be a little bit better for them than their standard blister pack radio options. So a repeater is basically where someone has set up a radio to receive a signal, right? And usually it's on an antenna that's pretty high up. So GMRS antennas can be 50 feet off the ground. So it's an antenna that's way up there. And so somebody on one walkie-talkie transmits a signal and it goes up to that repeater. That repeater receives the signal and then rebroadcasts it on a different frequency from that higher ground so it can cover more distance. So if I'm over here with a radio and there's a hill between me and the person I'm trying to talk to, GMRS is typically a line of sight mode of communication. So if I'm talking here and I'm trying to get it up and over a hill, it's probably not going to go. The person on the other side of me is not going to be able to hear me. But if I transmit to a repeater sitting on top of that hill and it repeats my signal to the other side, they'll be able to hear me just fine. And then when they respond, they transmit to the repeater. I'm listening to the repeater, and then it transmits back to me, right? So it makes sense. In GMRS, there are 8 repeater channels, which means channels 23 through 30 are the 8 repeater channels. So with channels 1 through 30 pre-programmed and locked into the radio, you have channels 31 to 127 to program any way you see fit. Now, one of the things that I really like to do is I like to put in frequencies of the stuff that I want to listen to. So this radio receives between 136 and 174 megahertz and 400 to 520 megahertz. So inside those bands are the 2-meter ham radio band, the multi-user radio service band, the marine VHF band, as well as NOAA weather radio. And in 400 to 520 megahertz within that is the 70 centimeter ham band. So you've got a lot of different things that you can listen to, albeit not transmit on. You can also set the radio up to scan those frequencies, so you never know what you might come across. So this radio has 2 different modes of operation. One is channel mode and one is frequency mode. You need to be in channel mode in order to operate on your GMRS channels, but if you want to just scan for other signals to listen, you want to switch to frequency mode. And so you hit that orange button,
frequency mode,
and the radio will say frequency mode. You hit it again to go back into channel mode.
Channel mode.
In channel mode, you can use the numeric keypad to type in any channel you want. And in frequency mode, you can use the numeric pad to type in whatever frequency you want to listen to. Let's say you're interested in the 2-meter calling frequency on ham radio, that's 146.520. If you're interested in channel 16 marine VHF, that's 156.800. There's lots of different frequencies that you can pick to listen to, even if you can't transmit on them with this radio. Other than the antenna, this radio will take all the standard Baofeng accessories, which is great because Baofeng accessories are readily available on Amazon and are relatively inexpensive. If you just buy the single pack and so you don't get their speaker mic, this radio has the typical K1 connector on the side of the radio to plug in a speaker mic. And so this is what a speaker mic looks like. What's really nice about these is if you have this radio clipped to your belt or your pack or something like that as you're hiking along, you can have the speaker mic connected to the radio, and then you can have this, clipped up on the strap of your pack or whatever, so you don't have to keep unclipping the radio to use it. So I really like speaker mics. This speaker mic that comes with the 2-pack is not bad. It's got a really nice click. The only thing that I don't like about it is has a relatively short wound part for stretching. So it doesn't really stretch that far. You've got to put a lot of tension on the cord. So the cord could be better on these speaker mics, but there are a lot of different speaker mics out there, guys. If you want to buy a better class of speaker mics, there are plenty out there with the Kenwood K1 style connector to use. But all in all, guys, I carry this all the time and have used it quite a bit. So it's not bad. I just wish the cable was a little bit longer. One other comment on these guys is the battery. I love the extended battery on this, the 3,800 milliamp battery. Most Baofeng batteries, I think, are like 1,500 milliamp, so it's over twice the capacity of the standard battery. So these last a long time, especially in standby when they're just listening. But even if you're transmitting a lot on these radios, the battery lasts a long time. What I would love to see is that these batteries are USB-C chargeable, because they are not. So to charge these radios, the only way to charge these radios is to drop them into the supplied cradle. And, these are your typical cradle, where you just drop them in. But I don't like to have to pack these when I'm camping, and I don't like to have to plug them into 110 AC. Although this is a DC compatible cradle. There we go. So let's see, the supply on this is 0.5 amp at 10 volts. So if you did have a USB-A out to that kind of plug, or a cigarette plug for your car, you could charge the cradle off 12 volts. But like I said, I prefer USB-C charging. There are really inexpensive USB-C rechargeable batteries on Amazon for these radios. I'll put a link down in the description below where you can pick one up if you are looking for USB-C chargeable stuff. Other Baofeng accessories include the battery eliminator. So there's basically a connector that you put on the back of the radio that replaces the battery that has a cigarette plug. So if you're just operating this thing in the car, you don't have to worry about charged batteries. You just plug it into your cigarette lighter in the car and it works great. I run battery eliminators a lot on these radios. These radios come with the standard Baofeng flashlight that I've never used, but they all have them. Both solid on and flash. I guess that could come in handy in a pinch. But all in all, guys, these are just really simple GMRS radios. If you need to communicate between people in your party while you're camping or hiking or fishing or off-roading or overlanding or whatever you're doing outside, I highly recommend GMRS. I like GMRS a lot better than FRS. Yes, FRS doesn't require a license, and yes, FRS radios are super cheap, but these guys are not all that expensive, and it's a great way for you to have better comms than just those standard FRS radios, or no comms in the case of just relying on cell phones, and you get there and you find out you don't have cell phone service. Let's stick it on the power meter and see how it does. Okay guys, so I've got this set up so that we're gonna test a couple different channels. So if you look right here, that's where the power is going to be. And of course, I'm transmitting into a dummy load, so the signal's not going anywhere. We're gonna start off with GMRS channel 1. That's the top line here on the radio. And let's see what we get. So it's transmitting 4.0, about 4 watts. Let's go up to GMRS channel 5, see what we get there. GMRS channel 5 is right around the same, 4 watts. Let's go up to GMRS channel 8. Now, GMRS channels 8 through 14 are only allowed half a watt to be legal. So we're going to see what this radio does on GMRS channel 8. And if you can see on the screen there, it'll indicate that the radio is in low power automatically. And also there's an N for narrow mode. Channels 8 through 14 in GMRS are narrowband FM. That's not really important for you to know unless you're a radio geek like me, but just thought I'd point it out. So on channel 8, the radio is transmitting 1.23 watts. So that's technically about double the amount of power it's allowed to transmit. Let's go up to channel 12 just to see what channel 12 is doing. And channel 12 is doing the same thing, about 1.23 watts. Let's get a little higher up. So like I said, past channel 18, it goes back to your standard 5 watts output typically on an HT. Above channel 18, so channels 19 through 22, you can have transmit power of up to 50 watts. Obviously, you're not going to get 50 watts out of a handheld, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's see what we do on channel 19. So channel 19 is transmitting about 4 watts. We'll go up to channel 22. And channel 22 is transmitting about 4 watts. So we're pretty consistent that throughout all the channels where you're allowed to transmit on high power, we're getting about 4 watts. For all the channels where you're only supposed to transmit a half a watt, we're actually getting somewhere around 1.2. So guys, I guess the question is, do I recommend the TIDRadio GM-5R? And the answer is, it depends. If you already have a lot of accessories for UV-5Rs, you have extra batteries, you have extra speaker mics, you have extra belt clips and lanyards and other things lying around, and you like the UV-5R size and form factor and menus and features and everything else, this is a fantastic radio. If you're looking for a GMRS version of the UV-5R, I gotta say, I really like the TIDRadio GM-5R. But time has really passed by for the UV-5R type radio. There are a lot of other radios out there now that come with USB-C charging right out of the gate. A couple of those are actually made by TIDRadio. So if you want to stay with TIDRadio, there's the TDH6, I think, GMRS radios, and then as well as GMRS versions of the TDH3 and the TDH8. And guys, I'm really hoping to review those radios soon. I don't have any of those right now. I'm actually reaching out to TIDRadio to become a brand ambassador. I would love to be a brand ambassador for TIDRadio. I think they make some really, really cool products. As a matter of fact, guys, they have a Bluetooth programmer for these types of radios so that when you want to add a channel, you can do it right from your phone through a Bluetooth receiver that plugs into the speaker mic connection. I did a review on that. TIDRadio sent me one to review. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link right up here where you can check that out. The downsides to this radio are clearly that it is not perfectly waterproof. Most radios aren't though, guys. To get a radio that is completely waterproof, you're going to pay an extra amount of money to get something that's fully waterproof. And there are downsides to a fully waterproof radio. Some of the, like the speaker mic connections are harder to use. There's some things that are downsides to completely waterproof radios. But if you take care of your radio better than we did, you shouldn't have much of a problem. And guys, we still rock this one all the time. This is probably my wife's go-to GMRS radio. She uses it more than my others because it's smaller and she likes it. But I would say if you're looking for a starter GMRS radio, there is not a whole lot better than the accessory pack that comes with the 2 radio kit from TIDRadio. Speaker mics, the big batteries, the programming cable, everything all at once, right in a convenient package. If you don't have any GMRS radios and you need to start off with a couple, this is a pretty good kit to get. So I'm going to put an affiliate link below where you can pick these up, guys. And like I said, I do recommend them. It might just be the radio for you, but if you're looking for some features like being waterproof or having more power or more channels, there are some other options out there. I'm going to be reviewing more GMRS radios, guys. As a matter of fact, I did review the Baofeng GMRS 9R. So you can check that out right up here. I'll put a link up to there. That is a waterproof GMRS radio. It's very similar to this radio in terms of menus and functions and memories and those kind of things, but it is fully waterproof, which is pretty cool. And I really like that radio a lot. But as I said, if you're looking for some radios, this is a good one. So guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. We exist to help moms and dads take their kids camping, hiking, fishing, learn about nature, and develop a conservation ethic. We want to help you get you and your kids outside. One of the things that we're really, really big on, guys, is safety. And we know firsthand that we can't rely on our cell phones when we're out in the woods. There just are too many places where we don't have cell phone signal. You really need to have a good comms plan for your family when you're outside. So stay tuned to the channel as we cover all things FRS, GMRS, MERS, ham radio, everything that you need to consider to create a good comms plan for you and your family, no matter what you're doing. If you have any questions about GMRS, about the TIDRadio GM-5R, about radio comms in general, or just getting outside, we'd love to hear from you. Drop something in the comments below or hit us up on other social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. And then we are also on our website at kempoutside.com. Guys, be safe. Have fun. Use walkie-talkies with your kids because they're going to love it. We'll see you next time.